Flosstube. My name is Becca, and I'm SamBrie Stitches here on Flosstube and Instagram. This is another edition of Interview with a Flosstuber, and I'm super excited today to introduce y'all to Ellen. Her Flosstube channel is Maximum Crossstitch Power Hour. I'm sure many of you have watched her. She's awesome. She stitches beautiful pieces. She's actually inspired me to start some samplers, and she's an awesome musician. And I got to be one of her wives of the week. And I have to say that because it made my whole entire year. And if you don't know what that means, I'll put a link down below to her Flosstube channel so that you can go check out her channel and discover what the wife of the week and the bit on the side is. So, so how are you doing today, Ellen?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I'm trying not to fangirl because
well, after an introduction like that, I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit hot in here.
A little flustered. Well, you deserve it. So I'm very excited. This is going to be an awesome interview. So we'll jump into the questions.
Let's do it.
The first one is, why did you start a Flosstube, and were there any particular motivations?
To be honest, the reason I started doing Flosstube was 100% jealousy. I watched Flosstube and I saw all these people talking about, you know, my girl Dana is Qsnap, and oh yeah, you know, my good friend Laura Duet from Brenda and the Cereal Starter. Oh, and you know, I'm really good friends with like Emily C and Stitch and May. It's like, well, I want that. Yep. I want to be friends with them. I want to be on a first name basis with them. And so I thought, well, the only way I can do that is if I jump in and make myself part of it. So it's all jealousy. It's all, you know, I have the emotional maturity of a 4-year-old girl and the sense of humor of a 12-year-old boy.
Yep. Well, so we're glad that you made it. I know this community is just, it's amazing. Just to be able to be friends with everybody and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's so nice to be able to talk to people and be a part of a group of people that get it, you know, they understand what it's like. And it's such a weird thing to have this sort of not addiction, but this sort of need to do this activity, and how calming and peaceful it is. It's a really good thing in our lives, I think.
Yep, it definitely is. So the next question is a subscriber question, and they were just wondering if you had a blog.
I do. And thank you, subscriber, for asking that question. I have a very inactive blog. I haven't been keeping it up, but I did do many entries many years ago. It's called My Complete Lack of Boundaries. And that's exactly what it is. It's basically just talking about myself and maybe saying stories about myself that my mother wouldn't really want me to have committed to a storage medium, but it's out there. And I draw little pictures, and it's just silliness, but I had a lot of fun with it at the time.
Oh, nice. Well, we'll put a link down below so people can check it out for sure. So the next question is, how did you learn to stitch, and how long have you been stitching?
You just said stitching.
Stitching.
American. Stitching. How long have you been stitching? The first thing I remember doing was an embroidery piece on a it was stamped embroidery on a pillowcase. I was probably 10, and I finished one, and I didn't do the other one, and I have no idea where it is. But I love textiles. My grandmother's house was full of beautiful textiles. My grandmother, my great aunt were amazing needlewomen. And so I was always surrounded by that when I was young. But I didn't really get into it in a real way until I was in my 20s. I had moved to England, and I didn't really know anyone. I had a lot of time on my hands. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll take up embroidery. Mm-hmm. And so I went and bought a kit, and that was fun to do. And then, you know, I was reading about needlework, and I heard about needlepoint, and I thought, oh, this is classy. This is what the classy ladies do. They do needlepoint. And so I went and got a couple kits. My first kit was a child's kit, and I made a lot of mistakes. And my second kit was a rug.
Oh, wow.
A 4 foot by 5 foot rug.
You jumped.
I did, but I was bitten, and I have not stopped. I was probably 27, 28 then, and I'm 54 now. So, and I haven't stopped. I made the switch to cross stitch maybe 4 years ago. And mostly it was just because I wanted these fast finishes, because needlepoint takes forever. And now I've realized that actually cross stitch isn't really faster.
Yep,
you just take on bigger projects.
It's time consuming. Yeah. So what is your favorite project that you've stitched so far?
Well, obviously the latest one that I've done, but I think the one I'm most proud of is my Rosewood Manor, the inspiration one. That was sort of way out of my comfort zone at the time. And I learned a lot with that one, even though it's not, I don't think it's considered even an intermediate stitch. But it was time consuming, but it was, I guess because it was the first sort of real foray into cross stitch in that sort of sampler style that I've become very fond of. So that's the one that I'm most proud of.
Rosewood Manor has some really, really pretty patterns.
Holy doodle, do they ever. And whenever Karen Kluba likes anything that I post on Instagram, I just have a little, oh, well.
So what do you enjoy most about stitching?
I think probably what the rest of us enjoy. It really is a very meditative practice, and you're still thinking about the things that go on in your day. You're still processing information as you're stitching and as you're looking at your pattern, but everything just gets taken down a notch. Everything is just calm, and I like being able to get something done while I'm listening to / watching TV. So I feel like I think it really is the meditative sort of Zen-like zone you get into when you're doing it, and I think that's what a lot of us really like about it.
Yep, I that's what I love. I take it with me everywhere. So at work I do it on breaks so that I can kind of like decompress and calm before I go back in. So yeah.
I don't know why it isn't considered like a an adjunct therapy for in mental health care.
Well, for many people, I've seen posts in different Facebook groups that actually have just said that they cross stitch for that reason. I mean, it's not in like the offices that doctors and stuff prescribe, but it helps them with anxiety and everything like that. So yeah, hopefully one day it'll be a prescription.
Well, I'll take a few of those prescriptions.
100%. So the next question is, what's your favorite genre of book or movie?
Well, I think they're different for books and movies. For books, I really love, I love mysteries. Come on, I love them. I'm sorry, I'm not very interesting, but I love mysteries, and I love historical fiction. Historical mysteries too are really, really high on my list. And for movies, I like escapism. I like the superhero stuff, the Star Wars stuff, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I know I should probably read more improving literature and go to more, art films and stuff, but nah.
I see books and movies as a way to kind of escape. I mean, a lot of people like the historical, that's been a pretty popular answer, but I just see them as a way to escape. So there's not necessarily a reason why you need to have, any sort of educational stuff.
Well, I was in school a long time, and I read a lot of books. And I mean, I still do read nonfiction now, just to sort of keep my brain from being completely, SpaghettiOs. Yeah. But mostly when I read for pleasure, it's just something nice, like a mystery or,
Nice little getaway. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
So what fictional place would you most like to go?
I thought about this question, and it's actually a place and a time. I want to be on the Star Trek Enterprise.
That is awesome.
Come on. You have a food replicator. you have the holodeck, and everyone is equal.
Yeah.
There's no, like, you know what, it doesn't matter what you look like or you know what language you speak, you're considered an equal, you know. They, and just the way that they treat each other and the other species that they come into contact with is just kind of somewhere where I'd like to see the human race go.
We can definitely take a page out of the Star Trek.
Yeah,
for sure.
beam me up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that would be amazing. You know, if the world could just be similar to Star Trek, just be a little more open.
Without the like, you know, planet blowing up part.
Oh, that's true.
Just the nice, like, diplomatic missions. And
Yeah.
stuff like
Okay.
that. I like that. Yeah.
We could do without the blowing up.
Yeah.
So if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be?
What do you think? I mean, cross stitch is what I like to do all day. But the thing is that is what I do all day. Because I'm, you know, we're not working right now. And right now I'm in 14 days of quarantine because I've traveled to Manitoba. So I can't do anything. You know, there's nothing to do here but cross stitch, and it's pretty great.
Yeah.
But I was trying to think of something else I'd like to do aside from cross stitch for a day. And I don't know, maybe drink white wine and play Cards Against Humanity. That's it. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Good.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I like that.
I think it would be a lot of fun, Cards Against Humanity.
Oh, you know what? I have, as I mentioned, I have no boundaries and no filters, and I'm literally no shame. Like, there is, like, I'm not embarrassed by anything. So yeah, I can tear it up with Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. So do you have any other hobbies besides cross stitch?
Not right now. Bless my mom, she's tried to teach me how to knit, and I really, really, really want to know how, because I want to make socks, because it just seems such a nice activity. But I can't. But I can't. I keep making mistakes and I get really frustrated. So right now, cross stitch is it.
I've tried knitting. I've tried it.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I like the process, but once I make a mistake, I'm stuck.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to get back out and fix it. Yeah, it's not the same as cross stitch.
No, it's tough.
So I think this next question is going to be a lot of fun. I'm curious. So how would your friends describe you?
Oh God, depends on the friend. Gassy.
I knew this question was going to be a lot of fun.
I don't know. I would like to think that my friends would think of me as loyal and funny and kind, because that's what I try to be. They might just find me to be annoying and kind of a hypochondriac and perhaps concerning.
Those are all not bad, though. Maybe the gassy part may be a little bad. But...
Well, we're all gassy. Like, let's not pretend, Becca. Like, we know you can rip a few here and there.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, now it's out there, so I guess.
Literally.
Yep. So how do you prefer to stitch? Do you in hand, Qsnap, hoop, that kind of thing?
With cross stitch, I prefer to use a Qsnap, which was a new revelation to me, because I thought that you either did it in hand or you used a hoop, and I didn't like using a hoop because it's for me the fabric always got too loose and I was always having to adjust it. But when I discovered the Qsnap, it was like, oh well, this is a game changer. When I needle pointed it, I usually needle pointed in hand. Occasionally, I would use a frame, but a frame just takes too long to set up, and I don't have time for that.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm the same way. I'm Qsnap all the way.
Yep.
Do you have a preferred type of fabric that you go to, or do you just pick whatever?
It depends on the project. I prefer to stitch on linen because I like the look of linen. But you know, if I'm doing something that's kind of fun and more whimsical, Ada is fun to stitch on. It's just that's where you can really get into the zen, is because it's a little bit more mapped out for you where to go. But yeah, it really depends on the project. Yeah, mostly linen, just because of the types of projects that I do.
Okay, yeah. I'm still 100% Ada stitcher.
Mm-hmm.
I know, and I'm just getting into samplers, and I'm a little worried about, you know, being an Ada only stitcher with all the specialty stitches. But I haven't found any yet that have specialty stitches. So,
well, Nicola Parkman actually, on a few of her new little gems that she's released, she releases Ada friendly charts as well. Like she'll have an alternate chart for Ada users.
I didn't know that.
Which is really nice.
I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. I didn't know that. So
yeah,
that's cool. So where is your favorite place that you've traveled, and did you bring stitching along with you when you went?
Most of the traveling I've done, of course, is with the band, and that's back in the day. And as I say, I didn't really start stitching until I was sort of in my late 20s, like getting into it. Right now, we go to Cuba. My husband and I go to Cuba once a year, and I always take stitching. But the places, some of the favorite places I've traveled to, internationally, we went to South Africa, which was really fascinating. And we spent 5 days in Shanghai, which was crazy and educational and so different and beautiful at the same time. In the States, now, how close are you to a place called Jacksonville? Are you close to Jacksonville?
Florida, right?
In Oregon.
Oh,
Jacksonville, Oregon.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where Jacksonville is in Oregon. I'm 3 hours from Portland, so.
I think it's kind of inland a bit. Lots of rolling hills. Now, I'd never been to the town of Jacksonville. I had to actually look it up online to see if it was Jackson or Jacksonville, but it's Jacksonville. And it's also, I think their town motto is always a good time. So it's the area around Jacksonville, Oregon is some of the most beautiful places in America I've ever seen. And if I was ever going to live in America, in the States, I would want to live right around Jacksonville, Oregon.
I'm gonna have to.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know anything about the people who live there. I'm sure they're very nice, but it's just a beautiful part of the world.
I would assume they're really nice if that's their motto.
Yeah, always a good time. They like to party here in Jacksonville.
They like to party and have a good time.
Give her.
I'm gonna have to check that out because I'm in Washington, not too far. So. So what can you not do without for your stitching? Like your favorite go-to that you have to have?
Well, aside from the obvious, like needle and linen. Oh, actually, it's right here. This thing. Where is it? There. This threader.
Yep.
And this threader. These are my things. And because I can't thread a needle with my bare eyeballs anymore. And this is good for pulling those when you play thread chicken and you have to draw your threads through. So these are my tools, and I have multiples of those because I do lose them frequently.
Yeah, they are.
And I used to have a Snagnabbit, but I lost it, and I really like that too.
See, I just discovered that when I was talking. I interviewed Pam and Steph was talking about that, and I was like, I got one when I went down to Acorns and Threads, and I still have to get it out and use it, but everybody swears by it, so I'm excited. It's
nice. It's like just a nice thing to get those little uneven things when you want something to look perfect or something.
Yeah.
It's an extra.
It's an extra, but it made Steph's that bunny that she did. Oh my gosh, the stitches. Amazing.
Her stitches are crazy. They're so perfect.
She uses that Snagnabbit thing. I gotta figure out how to do it. I'm convinced
she's actually a robot. She's not actually a human being because her stitches are so perfect. Sorry, Steph, you're a robot. I love her.
Robot beautiful stitches. So how do you decide on what you're going to work on next?
Usually I have a little bit of a queue, a bit of a lineup of things that I want to do. I never have a lack of things that I want to start. You know, everyone, all of us have a list of 40 things that we want to start tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It really is what I have kitted up, and, you know, depending on the day that I finish the project A, how I'm feeling will determine what project B is. Yeah.
Nice.
Never seems to be something small though.
Yeah, you stitch a lot of big projects for sure, but they're
Jeez,
beautiful.
yeah.
They're beautiful. So I'm getting into them. I'm getting into the bigger projects, but
There's no rush. There's no necessity either.
well,
Stitch what you like.
I'm the type of stitcher that I like to see the finished product. So I think that's why I typically stick to smalls. But all of a sudden, I'm in love with samplers and mirrors, and I don't know who I am anymore. But it's fun. It's fun.
Stitch it all.
Yep.
Stitch it all.
It's a lot of fun. So we are down to the last question, and this is my favorite one to hear everybody's answer. So it's, what's the best thing that has happened to you so far this year?
You know, when
everybody has that reaction.
It's like this year.
Yep, this year.
You're asking me this year. Well,
this year.
Everything good that happens this year is always going to be tinged with stuff that's going on that's not great. You know?
Yeah. True.
So keeping that in mind, there are things that have been positive. I mean, I think I'm trying to be a better, smarter person, a kinder person, a more thinking person this year, just because of things that have gone on in the world. Because of the pandemic, all of our concerts were canceled. That's bad. However, my mom is ill, and so I was able to come and stay with her for months because I'm not working because of the pandemic. So while a global pandemic is not a good thing, let me be clear. A silver lining to that is that I've been able to spend time with my mom, and that's been very important to me. Yeah. So I guess the pandemic is the best thing that's happened to me this year.
And well, yeah, the reason I asked that question is, yeah, the pandemic has been horrible. Many people have been sick. Many people have lost, loved ones. But there always has to be something positive, that has happened, to you this year.
Trying to find the sugar in the lemonade, right?
Yeah. And I'm sure your mom has just enjoyed you being there, and I'm sure that it means a lot to both of you to just be able to be together in the time that she's needed you. So
yes, I've been very fortunate.
Yeah, so love that. So that is the end of the interview.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
I had a good time, and I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your stitching. I'm glad I could give you a little company during your quarantine.
I appreciate it. I'm very alone here.
But thank you so much, and we'll say bye to everybody on Flosstube.
Bye, Flosstube. Rock on.